श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। ॐ। Page 12. We are looking at the commentary to verse number 9, and this is the commentary, 12th line from the bottom of the commentary. अतः श्रवणमननादि शास्त्रीय संस्कार संस्कृतं मनो यदा भवति तदा भ्रमशून्यम् आत्मयाथात्म्यज्ञान अवाप्त्या भवति इति अविवेकी मनः शास्त्रजन्य विवेकवता मनसा उद्धरेत् अनात्मभ्योपनयेत्. Acharya is commenting on the line Atmana Atmanam Uddharet. That is, one should elevate oneself by oneself. Atmana meaning the Tritiya Vibhakti of the Atman Shabda, meaning by the Atma. Atmanam being the Dvitiya Vibhakti of the same Atman Shabda, being to the Atma. And Uddharet meaning to elevate. So one must elevate oneself with oneself. So what does that mean? So Acharya is saying the word Atma here means the mind. So Atmana means by the mind, one must elevate the Atma. The second Atma also means the mind only. So what he is talking about is Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Shastriya Samskara Samskritam Manaha Yada Bhavati. When the mind gets purified by the samskara through the impressions that are being generated by the Shastra, Shastriya Samskara. And what kind of Shastriya Samskara? Why does that happen? Because of the Jnana Sadhana, being Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, listening to the scriptures from the Guru, contemplating upon them, and abiding in the knowledge that teaching gives. That is the Jnana Sadhana. So once the mind is purified by that Jnana Sadhana, then the delusions that the mind was plagued with are removed. It becomes Brahmashunyam Bhavati. What is the result? The result is Atma Yathatmya Jnanam Avaptya Brahmashunyam Bhavati. By attaining the right knowledge of the self, Atma Yathatmya Jnanam, the mind becomes freed from delusion. And such a mind is necessary to overcome the mind that is deluded. Aviveki manaha shastrajanya vivekavata manasa uddharet. So the deluded mind must be overcome by the purified mind, which has been purified by the shastrajanya vivekam, by the discrimination that is born from the jnana sadhana as outlined in the shastra. And as a result of that, one becomes free from the delusions. Brahmashunyam bhavati. And what does actually uddharet mean? By that Acharya is saying, anatmabhyo apanayet. One must move away from anatma. One must walk away from, turn away from anatma. And that is the meaning of uddharet. तथा च तस्मिन् पराङ्मुखत्वस्वाभाव्यात् बाह्येषु शरीरादिषु सक्ते वस्तुतो असङ्गस्यापि लोहितस्फटिकवत् संसक्तस्य इव भासमानस्य आत्मनः उपाधेः अनात्मसम्बन्धाभावे प्रत्यङ्मुखतया आत्ममात्रसंस्थत्वे च आत्मा उद्धृते इव भवति इति भावः. I think we had looked at this sentence also in the last class, but never mind, it's good to go through it again. What Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is saying, Tathacha tasmin parangmukhatva swabhavyat. Because normally the mind is externally focused, and we had quoted a Kathopanishad mantra, Paranchikhani vetrinat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman kashchit dhiraha pratyagatmanamaikshata Avritta Chakshur Amritatvam. So, in the Kathopanishad, essentially, we had said that, rather, Yamadharmaraja had said that Ishvara had afflicted the mind and the sense organs to be constantly parangmukham, that is, externally focused, extroverted. They are constantly seeking external objects for their consumption, for their enjoyment. And therefore, it is only a very rare individual, a dhiraha, an intelligent person, a dhiman, who stops that external activity of the mind and the senses and directs it inward. And that was the essence of that mantra. Acharya is quoting that by saying Paramukhatva Swabhavyat. What happens is that the mind is externally focused, is extroverted, and the self identifies with the mind. So the self becomes as though extroverted also. And therefore, it is Bahyeshu Shariradeshu Sakte Sati. It gets attached with external objects like the body, etc. And Vastato Asangasyapi, even though intrinsically the self is totally unattached, because Asango hi ayam purushaha, as the Upanishad says, the self is totally devoid of any attachments. What happens? Lohita sphatikavate samsaktasya iva bhavati. Like the redness of the crystal of the sphatika mani, because of the proximity of the red hibiscus flower, the japa kusumam, the colorless crystal also appears to be red. It takes on the color of the red flower. Whereas in reality, the crystal has not turned red. Similarly, the self being eternally unattached, none of the properties of the mind or the body will actually affect the underlying self. But it appears to be affected. And therefore he says, Samsaktasya iva bhasamanasya atmanaha. The self appears to be affected by the mind and the body, whereas it is actually not affected. And why is it not affected? He says, Upadehe anatma sambandha bhave. Because the mind and the body are upadhis, are adjuncts. And the nature of the upadhi is that it is anatma, it is not the self. Now, the only reality is the self. Therefore, a real thing cannot have a real relationship with an unreal thing. Therefore, he says sambandha bhave. The self cannot have a sambandha with anatma because the anatma is mithya. So, pratyangmukhataya atma matra samsthatve. When the mind stops going externally, it simply resolves into itself. And what remains is the self. And that is the pratyangmukhataya atmamatra samsthatve. And therefore we say atma udhrita iva bhavati. The mind realizes that as the mind it is not real. It is real only as the self. And the self is complete. The mind does not need to get something for the self to be happy. The self's nature is happiness. Its nature is bliss. It is complete in and as of itself. Therefore, the mind stops going externally because it knows that what is external is also the self. It itself is also the self. And the self is the self, of course. Therefore, nothing needs to be added or subtracted from the self. And therefore, the mind simply resolves into itself. But figuratively, we say, Atma udhrita iva bhavati, that the self has now become liberated. In reality, it was never bound to be liberated in the first place. Both liberation and bondage are mithya. Continuing, samsara varidhau magnam atmanam yogaroodatvam asadhya samyak darshana nishtaya atmana uddharet ittanvaya. Acharya is providing the anvaya or the proper syntactical sentence construction. The self that was as though drowning in samsara varidho magnam atmanam, yogaroodatvam asadhya, by taking recourse to parama vairagya or dispassion to external objects, samyak darshana nishtaya, by abiding in the right knowledge of the self, atmana, by such a self, one should overcome the aviveki self. That is the syntactical construction. योगारूढत्वं विशदयन्नेव श्रवणमनननिदिध्यासनानि संन्यास उत्तरकालिकानि सम्यक् दर्शननिष्ठावाप्तिसाधनानि तावदाह सन्न्यस्य इत्यादिना. Acharya is providing the Sangati or connection with the next verse, which begins with Sanyasya Sarva Karmani. So he's saying the condition of Yoga Rudatvam, to explain that and to show how Samyak Darshana Nishtha is to be achieved, or the abidance in the right knowledge is to be achieved. He is talking about the various sadhanas or the means. And those sadhanas are Shravana, listening to the scriptures; Manana, thinking about their meaning and import; Nididhyasana, abiding in that meaning, which have to be performed after sannyasa. Sannyasa Uttarakalikani. And what that sannyasa is also will be talked about. To explain that, the next verse is begun with the word sanyasya. Now we'll go to verse number 10. Sanyasya sarva karmani bhavabandha vimuktaye yatyatam panditair atmabhyasa upasthitaihi. So Adishankara Bhagavad is saying that in order for one to get liberation, to escape from the bhavabandha, the bondage of samsara, one must renounce all karmas, sanyasya sarva karmani. And with this expression, sanyasa sarva karmani, the direct meaning is that one must adopt sannyasa, which is the ashrama. That is, one must essentially formally renounce all karma and then enter into Vedantic inquiry. And the purpose for this is that it is only in the sannyasa ashrama that one has the complete freedom of mind and the time. One is not burdened by external expectations of achieving something, of doing something, and one does not have worldly activities that consume one's time. And therefore, both physically in terms of the availability of time, but more crucially in terms of the availability of the mind space, one has the freedom to exclusively pursue Namasadhana in this sannyasashrama. However, if that sannyasashrama one is unable to take due to whatever reason, due to some commitments that one has entered into, one must strive to allocate as much time as is possible towards Vedanta Vichara by freeing up one's mind and the time. Now, in our daily lives, finding time also is somehow possible, but having a mind that is clear and ready and relaxed to assimilate Vedanta, to contemplate upon the Upanishad Vakya, to do the Mimamsa, which is the Pujita Vichara or the sacred inquiry into the meaning of scriptural statements, one requires a free mind. And as a Grihastha, if one has that free mind, one must certainly devote it towards Vedanta Vichara. And that is what is meant by Sanyasa Sarvakarmani. That is, one is not focused or occupied by notions of doing things, what is the next thing in the agenda, planning, all those things one must give up and focus exclusively on the pursuit of Vedanta. And if not exclusively, to the extent possible. So, who must strive to release oneself from the bondage of samsara? And the word is strive, yatyatam. Acharya provides two adjectives, panditaihi, dhiraihi. The word pandita means one who is capable of logical thinking, of analysis. Now, Atma or the self is something that is eternally available. It's available in every thought. Pratibodha viditam matam, as the Kenopanishad says. It is not some supranormal experience that one has. It is something that is always available. But because our minds are occupied elsewhere, we, even though it is plainly available in sight, we do not see it. So when we look at a pot, when we ask, what do we see? What do we say? We say we see the pot. If you look deeper, we say we see the clay in the pot. But does anyone say that we see the light? Because what is actually seen is the light that is reflected from the object. Just like in whatever that we see, the one essential thing is the perception of light. Light is there in every visual perception. Similarly, in every cognition, the self is there. But But because it is ever present, we do not notice it. And when the Shastra says this is the self, we dismiss it and say no, 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 and all sorts of questions and doubts come up. And to address those doubts, to address those logical questions that one has, one needs to have a highly logical mind as well. It does not have to be extremely logical or anything, but a reasonable level of analysis is required. And that is what Panditaihi refers to. It refers to an individual who is capable of using their intellect to address all those doubts that come up when the Shastras point to the self. So the first qualification is that there must be a Pandita, one capable of logical analysis and logical thinking. The second qualification is being a Viveki, one capable of a discriminating intellect. And that is what is being referred to by the term Dhiraihi. So the Dhira is one who is convinced that it is jnana or knowledge which is the sole means to moksha, that all other paths are not direct means to moksha, but they serve a role up to a point. But in order to move from there to moksha, it is jnana, which is the sole path. And dhira refers to an individual who is thus convinced of the exclusivity of the jnana marga as a remedy from samsara. So apart from being a pandita and a dhira, Acharya adds another qualification, Atmabhyasa upasthitaihi. And here Atmabhyasa means self-inquiry and upasthitaihi means one who is committed to. So apart from being of a sound logical mind, an analytical mind, which is a pandita, and apart from focusing on jnana as the sole means to escape from samsara, being a dhira, the other requirement is being committed to jnana sadhana, being sravana, manana, and nididhyasana. Therefore, one who engages in Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana with a logical mind, convinced of its validity, and giving up other karmas so that the mind is ready, only such a person can escape from the bondage or the fetters of samsara. That is what Acharya is saying in this verse. Now we look at the commentary. Sarvakarmani sanyasya कर्मकाण्डोक्तानि स्वरूपतोऽपि परित्यज्य भवबन्धविमुक्तये सांसारिकबन्धनिवृत्तिहेतुभूत सम्यग्दर्शननिष्ठायै पण्डितैः आत्मविषयकपरोक्षज्ञानवद्भिः धीरैः वशीकृतबुद्धिभिः पराञ्चिकानि व्यतृणत्स्वयंभूः तस्मात् परां पश्यति नान्तरात्मन् कश्चिद्धीरः प्रत्यगात्मानमैक्षत् आवृत्तचक्षुर amrutattvamichan iti shrutehe. So Acharya is saying sarvakarmani samyasya means giving up all the rituals that have been outlined in the karmakanda or the ritualistic portion of the Vedas. Having renounced these rituals is what it's meant. And by the phrase bhavabandha vimuktage, what is meant is that by means of nishtha or abidance in the samyak darshana or the right knowledge of Brahman, which happens to be the cause for the cessation of the bandha or the fetters or bondage of samsara, samsarika bandha nivritti hetu bhuta samyak darshana nishtha. By such a nishtha, the panditas, panditaihi, and by the word pandita, Acharya does the vyakhya as Atma Vishayaka Paroksha Jnanavadbhihi, those who have the indirect knowledge of the self. And then he says Dhiraihi. By Dhira, he means Vashikrita Buddhivihi, those whose intellects and minds are in their control. And Acharya quotes the Kathopanishad mantra that we quoted earlier in support. He says, Paranchikhani Vatranat Swayambhus Tasmat Parang Pashyati Antaratman Kashchit Dhiraha. The Dhiraha in this mantra is what is the same Vyakhya he is giving to the Dhira in this verse. Kashchit Dhiraha Pratyagatmanam Aikshata Avrita Chakshuhu Amritatvamichan. So what this, and we looked at this meaning earlier, so we'll go through this quickly. Essentially, Ishvara or Swayambhu has afflicted the minds and senses of everybody to be extroverted, external facing. It is only a very rare individual, a Dhiraha, who is capable of diverting his mind and senses inwards to know the self. धियं राति इति धीरः प्रधानभूतां कार्यकरणसङ्घातमध्ये बुद्धिं वश्यति इत्युक्ते इतर इन्द्रियजयः अर्थसिद्धः. So Acharya is providing the etymological derivation of dhiraha. Dhiyam rati iti dhiraha. Dhira is one who is able to control his intellect. Now the Karyakarana Sanghata, which means the mind-body complex. Amongst this mind-body complex is the intellect, which is the foremost or the pradhana bhutam. The most important element of the subtle body and the physical body is the intellect, because that is what differentiates humanity from other species. So Acharya is saying if one is able to control the foremost, implied within it is the understanding that he has controlled all the other senses. He has Indriya Jaya. He has attained victory over the other senses. And here victory means the senses do what he wants them to do. They don't simply go out and drag him alongside outside. Etena shantyadi upetatvam suchitam bhavati. So with that, the presence of Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti is also indicated, Acharya says. And Shamadhi means Shanti, etc. Shanti means equanimity, control over the mind, etc. अतएव आत्माभ्यासे तच्चिन्तनं तत्कथनम् अन्योन्यं तत्प्रबोधनम् एतदेकपरत्वं च ब्रह्माभ्यासं विदुर्बुधाः इति अभियुक्तोक्तिरीत्या अनन्यव्यापारतया श्रुतार्थ मनन तत्कथन परस्पर प्रबोधन रूप ज्ञानकाण्डोक्त व्यापारेषु उपस्थितैः वर्तमानैः विजातीय प्रत्यय तिरस्कृत सजातीय प्रत्यय प्रवाह रूप निदिध्यासन अनुष्ठानेन यत्यतामिति अन्वयः. So Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is explaining the word Atmabhyasa by quoting the Panchadashi. So there Swami Vidyaranya has explained the nature of what is self-inquiry or Atmabhyasa, and he says it is Tat Chintanam, thinking about it, Tat Kathanam, speaking about it, Anyonyam Tat Prabodhanam, teaching each other, teaching fellow students, etc., discussing it with others, and thus conveying the nature of that self. Etad ekaparatvam, being focused on that alone, on the self alone, exclusive focus on that self, changing one's entire lifestyle to be conducive towards that self-inquiry. Brahmabhyasam vidurbuddhaha. So the wise people refer to this as Brahmabhyasa or inquiry into Brahman. Just like we explained, Acharya is providing the commentary to the Panchadashi verse also. He says, Ananya Vyaparataya Shrutartha Manana Tatkathana Paraspara Prabodhana Rupa Jnanakanda Ukta Vyapareshu Upastitaihi Vartamanehi. So, by those who are constantly engaged in the transactions of Jnanakanda, being Shrutartha Mananam, that is, thinking about, contemplating about the meaning of the scriptures, Tat Kathanam, talking about the meaning of the scriptures, Paraspara Prabodhana Rupam, teaching each other that nature of Brahman, doing that exclusively, Ananya Vyaparataya. And then he provides an explanation of what Nididhyasanam means. He says, Nididhyasanam or abidance in the knowledge of the self means Vijatiya Pratyaya Tiraskrita. That is, giving up anything which is contrarian to the right understanding of the self. Anything which reinforces the notions of doership, enjoyership, the self being limited, of considering oneself to be a human being, of being a brahmachari or a grihastha or a married person, a father, a wife, a son. All of those are vijatiya pratyayas. So one stops entertaining such notions, because the more one thinks about oneself as these things, that will constantly keep getting reinforced, and we have been doing that over several births, not just this one. And therefore it takes great effort to stop oneself from thinking that one is these things. So all those contrarian notions are given up. And in its place, we are replacing it with those which reinforce the right knowledge of the self. So that one is an akarta, one is abhokta, one is aparichinna. That is, one is akarta, one is not a doer, one is abhokta, therefore one is not an enjoyer also. One is not an experiencer. One is aparichinam, one is limitless. One is the nature of consciousness. We are not matter, we are consciousness. We are all pervading consciousness. We are not in the world is in us. It is a mere appearance, a bubble in us. So such notions have to constantly be entertained. And that is the nature of nididhyasana. So by a commitment to such a brahmabhyasam, to an atmabhyasam of the nature that we have talked about, one escapes from the bondage of samsara. Such is the nature of the yatna or the striving that one must do. Iti yatyatam is what Acharya is saying. With this, we will pause today's session and take up the next part of the commentary in the next session. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti